broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Welcome everyone to Mahr's Product News Webinar Series. My name is Chris Wishern, and today I'll be presenting to you some news about updates to the MarSurf CM mobile product for 2020. I have about 10 slides for everybody today. If we could please hold any questions to the end, we'll open up the floor and have a question and answer session. So welcome, and let's get started. Here we have the MarSurf CM product line from 2019. I'm going to take a minute to talk about what exactly the MarSurf CM product line is. CM stands for confocal microscope. The MarSurf product line itself is comprised of surface metrology products, so tools used for measuring surface finish, contour, geometry, etc. So the MarSurf CM product line is surface metrology tools that use confocal microscopy as the measurement technology. More specifically, the MarSurf CM product line uses LED multi-pinhole disc confocal microscopy technology. Mahr offers the MarSurf CM product line in a variety of form factors, from the compact desktop tools like the CM Explorer in the lower left of this slide, all the way up to large freestanding multi-sensor tools like the CM Select in the upper right corner. The CM Select can be outfitted with 3 different types of sensors, is available off the shelf with XY stages up to 12 inches by 12 inches travel. It can also be programmed for automatic measurements and fitted with up to 5 axes for more complex part manipulation tasks. We also offer the CM tool in a portable version, the MarSurf CM Mobile. This is the tool that you can take to a vendor, to a customer, down to the shop floor, out into the field. This is the tool we see front and center at the bottom of this slide. One of the first things we notice about the CM Mobile, in addition to it being much smaller than the rest of the tools, is that its design does not match the rest of the product line in 2019. For 2020, we made some design changes to the CM Mobile. Here we can see the aesthetic changes that were made. It now follows the same design cues as the rest of the product line. Here's a close-up of the mobile tool. It has a much sleeker, smoother look to it that matches the rest of the product line, much less angular now. Naturally, I did not invite you here just to show you the sleeker design that we have for 2020. We also made some technical changes. So the CM product line, all of the CM tools have always been based on the same confocal microscopy, or the confocal microscope technology. The physical principle, the base performance of all the products in the CM line, it's always been the same. However, obviously, due to packaging constraints on a portable tool, something that we can take out into the field, into the shop floor easily, we had to make some performance compromises. The CM mobile tool, it's always had excellent performance, but for 2020, we were finally able to overcome some of the design hurdles that we had with the packaging in the past, and we're able to eliminate those final compromises that we had to make. So it's got a pretty new face, but let's talk a little bit about the technical benefits. So the overall is, now all of the products in the MarSurf CM line have the exact same optical path. They have the identical optical path, whether it's desktop, freestanding, or a portable tool. They all have full resolution, full dynamic range, and full performance. So when we talk about full resolution, this means that all tools have the same maximum lateral resolution. The CM Mobile was previously the only tool left with a 512 by 512 pixel camera, or 512 pixel by 512 pixel measurement field of view. It now has 1200 by 1200 pixels, so 250,000 pixels all the way up to 1.4 million pixels. The functional result of that is both qualitative and quantitative. So now we get a crisper, sharper, what we call a full depth of focus image, or our micrograph. That's the qualitative side. On the quantitative side, we have a much higher data point density in each of our XYZ data sets. This means we can measure the very smallest of features with a better result at the same magnification. So instead of necessarily having to move up in magnification, we can get a better result at a lower magnification. So full dynamic range, when we talk about full dynamic range, previously the CM Mobile was the only tool with an 8-bit camera. Now the new cameras are 16-bit HDR scale. This means that we've got a tool that has 256 times more sensitivity to small light intensity differences. The functional result of this is that we have better performance in terms of less data dropout and less noise on poorly reflective surfaces, low reflectivity surfaces. Another big performance benefit of this is in cases where we have extreme intensity differences in adjacent areas in our field of view. And previously, if we had a very highly reflective feature immediately adjacent to a poorly reflective feature, we would have to over illuminate the highly reflective feature to get any data out of the poorly reflective feature, or vice versa. The new HDR camera by design compensates for this already. Full performance. When we talk about full performance, we've added some features that were previously only available on the larger laboratory tools. So true color information. Obviously, this is a feature that is important for our colleagues in the printing industry, but it is also something that is pretty important for other industries as well. For example, our colleagues in the bearing industry. The difference between a pit or a defect from an inclusion versus the pit or a defect from arcing, sometimes the only way you can tell the difference is by color. Another feature that a performance feature that we brought over from the larger tools is the automatic lens detection. It's really a creature comfort feature. However, it does improve the usability significantly, especially when we're doing exploratory measurements where we have to switch back and forth between objective lenses multiple times during the measurement. It's a big help. So dig a little deeper, take a closer look at some of these technical benefits and some of the other specs for the tools. We have a table here. MarSurf CM Mobile 2019 specifications compared to the MarSurf CM Mobile 2020 specifications. So some of the important specifications remain the same. Motorized XYZ travel of 50 millimeters by 50 millimeters by 35 millimeters, that remains the same. This motorized travel, which is standard on all of the CM tools, this is what allows us to do automatic stitching, to get large, instead of a single field of view shot, to be able to stitch multiple fields of view together to get a larger measurement area. It's also helpful when searching for a region of interest. Use your motorized stages to move the head, to move the microscope around instead of having to move your part around manually underneath the objective lens, or worse yet, having to, in the case of the mobile tool, push the mobile tool around on top of the part you're trying to measure. The next row in the table, the vertical measuring range, remains the same. 350 micron vertical measuring range in fine scale mode, and up to the objective working distance in regular scale measurement mode, so a couple of millimeters for the most part. The rows in green, so these handful of rows in green, these are technical improvements or additions from 2019 or in 2020 relative to 2019. The first one in green, the camera. So I mentioned it before, 512 pixels by 512 pixels is what we had up till this year. We're now at 1200 by 1200 pixels for 2020 onward. What this does in terms of our minimum measurement point spacing, this is for a 100x lens. Previously, we were at 310 nanometers between measuring points. Now we're all the way down to 130 nanometers between measurement points. It's using the 100x lens. The point is this, as I mentioned in the previous slide, this is going to give us a qualitative improvement in the sense of sharper, crisper images, but it's also going to give us a quantitative boost. So now when we're looking at very small features, we have more pixels per small feature. The color image function, the HDR and the automatic lens detection, the color image is option, the HDR and the automatic lens detection, those are standard. Those come standard on the tool now. Another feature, a new feature that I had not mentioned yet, is the maximum camera speed. So previously these tools ran at 90 frames per second, 90 FPS. For 2020, we bumped up the maximum speed to 100 frames per second. That doesn't seem like a terrible lot. It's only a 10% bump. However, when you've got to do hundreds of measurements, if you're the end user doing hundreds of measurements, that second or two change in measurement speed is actually pretty big. Even more importantly, when we're stitching together very large fields of view, again, 10% increase in speed, it's noticeable. You will notice the difference. Getting back into the black points in the row, the measurement noise at 1 nanometer, it stayed the same. I have this highlighted, or it is black. I was torn. I almost wanted to make this a green bullet point as well. The 1 nanometer noise floor is impressive on any tool. 1 nanometer noise floor is impressive on any tool. In designing the new tool, I don't want to say we were worried, but it was certainly a design criteria that we kept our eye on very closely. Moving from increasing the pixel count by a factor of 5, moving to an HDR, 16-bit HDR camera, one of the things we were concerned with was we're actually going to have a noisier tool. So it's a huge credit to our technical team that we're actually able to maintain that same noise floor. So to keep that very, very low noise system, I really want to make that a green bullet point there. That's kind of a big deal for us. I'm proud of our team for that one. Finally, the weight. On the surface, yeah, we gained some weight, 5.5 kilograms up to 8.3. So it's a little bit heavier to lift. It's not that heavy in the end. But I'm going to kind of turn this one around too and say this is also in some respects a positive. The more mass we have, the less vibration sensitive we're going to be. The tool, the CM mobile tool, due to its compact size and the nature of the multi-pinhole disc confocal technology we use, already very vibration sensitive. Throw a little bit more mass on there, it becomes even less vibration sensitive than before. So, summary of the technical benefits there with the new 2020 update. Take a closer look at the system itself. That's the whole system, and that's the point. That's it. The only thing missing there's a power cord for the laptop and the power supply not shown. Starting at the bottom of the list, number 5, that's a hard-sided travel case. The sensor head, number 1, the joystick, number 2, the power supply case, number 4, the power cords, the objective lenses, they all go into the hard side case. The laptop goes into a laptop bag, and we take that with us as well. One moment, please. So my apologies for the interruption. We had a comment that the audio is not working. If anybody isn't getting audio, just hit the raise hand button, but I think it should be okay. So I'm going to continue. I don't see any hands going up. Okay. Okay. Continuing. The laptop goes in a laptop bag. Sorry, this is the big punchline. What is not missing, what is not shown is most important. There is no 19-inch electronics rack full of amplifiers and stage controllers and power supplies hiding underneath the table here. This is the entire system. So you pack the head, the joystick, the power supply, the objectives, you pack it into the hard-sided case. put the laptop in your bag, throw everything in the trunk of the car, or check it at the airport, and off you go to your customer or your vendor or whatever. That's the entire system. It truly is a portable system. So a little bit about what the applications what are the applications for this tool. When I speak about applications, I try to break it down into two things. Which industry is the technology used in, and what are the measurement tasks for which the technology is used? So first, the industries. The MarSurf CM product in general, overall, they all use the same LED microscope technology. This makes them, for the most part, material independent. They can be used on metals, polymers, paper, fabric, ceramics, whichever. So that across the board, regardless of what materials are used in the industry, the confocal can handle it. Some other optical measurement technologies, not so much so. There are technologies that are extremely sensitive to highly reflective surfaces, surfaces with very little contrast, for example. Other technologies struggle with the transparency of polymers and plastics. And still other technologies can't measure ceramics because the ceramics don't reflect enough light. The LED multi-pinhole disc confocal technology is not subject to these limitations. It really material independent, and as such covers a broad range of industries. So the MarSurf CM Mobile, the product that we're talking about for this presentation, takes this universality a step further. Typically, for us to access the power of these optical surface metrology tools, we have to take our part to the laboratory. At the very least, we have to take our part to the microscope in some other room, in some separate room. With the CM Mobile, that's not the case. You know, we now have the capability. We can take the laboratory quality measurements to the rolling mill, to the grind shop, to the stamping plant, or wherever else we need to take it. You know, we can take this technology, our laboratory, to the customer to help them with their challenges with our products, or we can take it to our vendors to help them with problems that we might be having with their product. And naturally, we can also service our internal customers in other departments as well. So what industry could use this tool? The answer is pretty broad. So any industry where there is a necessity for laboratory quality surface metrology measurements under non-laboratory conditions. That's the industry that this tool can serve. The second half of the application discussion, from my perspective, is always, what is the measurement task? What can we use this tool to do? The first one, the most obvious one, is surface finish. And it's surface finish either using the ISO 4287 profile parameters or the ISO 25178 aerial parameters. You know, these are also referred to sometimes as the 2D and the 3D parameters, respectively. These include parameters like RA, RQ, RZ that we're all familiar with, and parameters like SA, SQ, and SC that are relatively new and people are becoming more familiar with them. There are dozens of these parameters. There's also an ASME B46.1 set of parameters. We have the capabilities to calculate any and all of them. And when we're talking about these surface finish parameters, I always try to take a little bit, a minute, and just really point out that the ISO 4287 parameters, these are also, this is something we do very often at Mahr on our stylus tools, on the PS10, on the Pocket Surf. And the measurements that are coming off of our stylus tools, they are going to correspond to the measurements coming off of our CM, off of our optical tools. We will have correspondence between our stylus tools and our optical tools. That's important to us, and it's something that is very important to our customers, because we can't switch technologies and all of a sudden have a discontinuous specification on some part. Very, very important point there that I want to make sure I drive home. Other applications, in addition to surface finish, micro contour, micro geometry. So this is whether we're measuring angles, radii, depth, width, pitch, spacing, any type of geometry parameter we can also do. More advanced topographical analyses we can also do, quantifying bearing area, wear, uniformity, isotropy, and much, much more. Another interesting parameter for our customers and colleagues in the automotive and appliance industries is paint appearance. The SEP 1941 parameter set or a set of standards helps us quantify how good a paint job looks. Glossiness, orange peel, waviness, these could all be captured by the parameters in this standard, and this is something that we offer as an option for the CM mobile tool. So this is just a review of the most typical measurement tasks, most typical analyses that we do with this tool. This is a digital measurement tool. We capture an XYZ data set and we save that. We can use that same data set to calculate nearly any parameter that exists, or to calculate nearly any parameter that exists. If a parameter doesn't exist, we probably know a guy. In fact, there's probably a couple of guys in the audience who can help us develop these parameters or write scripts to calculate these parameters. So again, just an overview, but the point is it's a very broad measurement task range that we can handle with these tools. So to summarize, key features and updates to the CM Mobile for 2020. The ready for use anywhere is a good header. It is a portable metrology solution that allows measurement directly on products or tooling. So not bringing the products or the tooling to the microscope, we bring the microscope to the products or the tooling. What makes this tool really stand out after the 2020 update is we can now offer the exact same level of resolution in our portable tool that was previously really only available with our desktop and freestanding laboratory tools. CM Mobile has some other additional features that we brought over from those tools, like the 16-bit HDR and the color and the automatic lens identification as well. But the other increases, other changes for 2020, we've increased the measurement speed up to 100 frames per second. Also important to note there that this increase in the speed and this increase in maximum lateral resolution, that's across there's no correlation between maximum lateral resolution and measurement speed, really. We are always measuring at maximum resolution, or maximum lateral resolution. So if you want to see your tightest point spacing with this tool, you don't have to pay a time penalty that is sometimes orders of magnitude using other technologies. Always maximum lateral resolution, and you can run it at maximum speed while doing that. On that same note, if you need that high lateral resolution and you need it over a larger field of view, all of the CM products, including the CM Mobile, always offer motorized XYZ axes for that automatic stitching capability. So probably the most critically important aspect to the tool that I unfortunately always forget to talk about because it's almost taken for granted is the robust design of the tool. If the tool can't survive travel and transport, and this is the first time I'm mentioning it, but if the tool can't survive travel and transport, it doesn't do you any good being able to take it out into the field or down onto the shop floor. I personally I used to fly with this tool on a regular basis. And when I flew with the tool, I would check it in. It was my checked luggage. I'd check it in, I'd pick it up at my destination, and I have not once had a problem with the tool running when it showed up at my destination. So to summarize the updates or this tool and the updates to it, for 2020, we have laboratory performance wherever you need it. I think that's a succinct summary of this tool after its 2020 updates. So with that, thank you very much, everybody, for your attention. We can open up to questions now, I think. and we'll try to get as many folks as we can. If we don't manage to get to you, you can always reach out to me. There's my email address on the screen. We'll leave that there, or you can reach out to anybody else who might be your contact person at Mahr. So again, thank you very much. Open for questions.